The transmission came on a Tuesday, just another Tuesday until the Deep Space Array at Huntsville picked up something no one had ever heard before. A pattern. A signal. Not random noise from the cosmos, but a message. Dr. Alan White stared at the data scrolling across his screen. After 15 years searching the stars for signs of intelligence, he'd found it. Or rather, it had found Earth. "Get the director," Alan told his assistant without looking up. His fingers flew across the keyboard, confirming what the algorithms already told him. This was no false positive. Within hours, the facility transformed. Government officials in dark suits arrived. Military personnel established security perimeters. Captain Lisa Bennett of Space Force Intelligence took command of the response team alongside Alan. "We're looking at a directed communication," Alan explained to the assembled experts. "The signal originated from the Epsilon Eridani system, but the language structure doesn't match anything in our databases." Lisa studied the transmission patterns. "How certain are we this is artificial?" 100%, Alan replied. "The message repeats with precise mathematical intervals. There's even a built-in translation matrix. They want to be understood." 3 days later, they broke the code. The message was simple. "We are the Zorelian Empire. We have observed your world. We wish to speak." Earth's governments convened emergency sessions. News channels broadcasted non-stop speculation. Religious leaders offered interpretations. The stock market fluctuated wildly. When the response finally went out, humanity spoke with one voice for the first time. "We are Earth. We welcome conversation." The dialogue that followed revealed the Zorelians controlled vast regions of space, spanning 3 galactic arms. They had encountered 47 other intelligent species. They proposed a meeting at the edge of Earth's solar system. "They're coming here," President Rivera asked during the crisis briefing. "A diplomatic vessel is already en route," Lisa confirmed. "Estimated arrival in 6 months." The world prepared. A joint space platform was constructed near Mars orbit. Representatives were chosen. Defense systems were quietly upgraded. When the Zorelian ship arrived, it dwarfed humanity's largest vessels. Sleek and golden, it moved with impossible grace for its size. Ambassador Vexlar emerged with an entourage of tall, blue-skinned beings. Their 4 eyes blinked independently, and their garments shimmered with living technology. "We bring greetings from the Eternal Throne," Vexlar announced through a translation device. "The Emperor extends his hand in friendship to your developing world." The diplomatic exchange proceeded cautiously. Zorelians shared limited technological insights while gathering information about Earth. They expressed particular interest in human military capabilities, which they dismissed as charmingly primitive. Behind closed doors, Earth's leaders remained skeptical. "They've conquered dozens of worlds," Lisa reported during a classified session. "The species they call protectorates are actually subjugated populations." The United Nations Security Council voted unanimously to form the Terran Defense Coalition, a unified military command structure for all Earth forces. Vexlar noticed the increasing wariness. "Your caution is unnecessary," he assured President Rivera. "The Empire brings order and advancement to primitive worlds. Resistance has never benefited those we encounter." 3 months into the diplomatic mission, a Zorelian scout ship violated the established boundary around Earth's moon without authorization. When challenged, it ignored warnings and continued toward a research facility. "This is Earth Defense System Gamma. You have entered restricted space. Alter course immediately," the controller broadcast. The Zorelian vessel sent back a single response. "Lesser species do not issue commands to the Empire." As tension escalated, Vexlar's tone changed during emergency communications. "Your world has much to learn about galactic hierarchy. The Scout mission is standard protocol for assessing primitive defenses." That night, analysts detected transmission bursts from the diplomatic vessel to distant points beyond the solar system. The message, when decoded, was brief. "World suitable for standard conquest procedure. Minimal resistance expected. Request Imperial fleet support." Humanity's first contact had become a prelude to invasion. The Zorelian scout ship struck the Mars research outpost without warning. Laser fire cut through the dome shields, venting atmosphere into the thin Martian air. Alarms blared as researchers ran for emergency shelters. Lieutenant Jack Powell and his security team of 4 were all that stood between 30 scientists and certain death. They had trained for emergencies, but not for alien attackers. "Seal the lab sections," Jack ordered, grabbing his rifle. "Everyone in pressure suits now." The Zorelians breached the main airlock using technology that melted through reinforced steel like it was butter. 3 tall blue figures entered, their armor gleaming under the emergency lights. They moved with confidence, clearly expecting minimal resistance. "They think we're defenseless," Jack whispered to his team. "Let's prove them wrong." Jack had studied the limited data on Zorelian physiology from the diplomatic exchanges. Their 4 eyes gave them superior vision, but they relied heavily on tech-enhanced senses. He activated the facility's electromagnetic pulse device, an experimental security measure. The pulse hit. The aliens' armor sputtered, and their weapons dimmed momentarily. It was all the advantage the humans needed. The security team struck from multiple positions, using the facility's layout to their advantage. The Zorelians fired back with weapons that turned walls to slag, but they couldn't hit what they couldn't see. Jack's team used maintenance tunnels and air ducts to reposition constantly. "Their left side," Jack called out, noticing a gap in the aliens' armor beneath their secondary arms. "Aim there." 2 hours of brutal combat left the research facility damaged but intact. 2 security officers were wounded. 2 Zorelians lay dead. The 3rd was incapacitated, their armor systems failing after taking multiple hits. Dr. Olivia Ross, the facility's lead researcher, helped Jack secure the captured alien. "We need to understand their technology," she said, examining the damaged armor, "and why they attacked without provocation." Dr. Eric Mills joined them, bringing medical equipment. "I can keep the prisoner stable while we learn what we can." The wounded Zorelian regained consciousness under guard. It looked at the humans with 4 eyes full of contempt. "You should have surrendered," it said through its damaged translator. "The Empire does not tolerate resistance from primitive primates." Jack leaned closer. "We're full of surprises." Within hours, Olivia made remarkable discoveries. The Zorelian weapons and armor contained exploitable weaknesses. Their shields couldn't handle rapidly changing frequencies, and their power systems overheated when forced to adapt quickly. "They've never needed to innovate beyond a certain point," Olivia explained to Jack. "They've always been technologically superior to the species they conquered." Eric's examination of the prisoner revealed more. "Their nervous system is complex but vulnerable to certain sonic frequencies, and their exoskeleton, while strong, has soft connection points." Back on Earth, the Zorelian diplomatic vessel suddenly broke orbit, ignoring all communication attempts. The brief message they broadcast chilled humanity to its core. "The Zorelian Empire claims this system by right of superior civilization. Submit to imperial authority within 1 planetary rotation or face cleansing." Earth's response came within the hour. A united statement from all nations. "We decline your offer." Military forces worldwide mobilized. The captive Zorelian technology from Mars was rushed to research centers. Every ship, weapon, and defensive system was readied. "They expect us to beg for mercy," President Rivera told the emergency session of the United Nations. "They expect fear. What they'll get is humanity." The Security Council activated the Terran Defense Protocol, unifying global military command for the first time in history. In orbit, space-based telescopes detected energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. The Zorelian fleet was assembling. Humanity had perhaps 2 weeks before they arrived in force. The captured Zorelian watched the humans prepare with growing confusion. These creatures were supposed to cower, not organize. They were supposed to fragment, not unite. "You cannot win," it told Jack. "The Empire has never lost a conquest." Jack smiled. Then we'll be the first. The Empire has never fought humans before. Earth transformed in the days following the Zorelian ultimatum. Factories converted to war production. Military bases buzzed with activity. Scientists worked around the clock analyzing alien technology captured on Mars. Commander Sophia Nelson stood on the bridge of the flagship Defender, overseeing the retrofit of Earth's modest space fleet. Once exploration and research vessels, they were now being armed with weapons based on reverse-engineered Zorelian technology. "How's the shield integration coming?" she asked the chief engineer. Paul Garcia looked up from his console. "Better than expected. The adaptive frequency modulation is working. Their weapons won't penetrate as easily now." Sophia nodded. Earth had fewer ships, less advanced technology, and no experience in space warfare. But humans had something the Zorelians lacked: millennia of fighting against the odds. "The Zorelians have never faced guerrilla warfare," she said to her officers during the strategy meeting. "They're used to direct confrontation and overwhelming force. We won't give them that opportunity." While the fleet prepared, Earth reached out to other species subjugated by the Empire. Through secret channels established by intelligence officers, they found allies, other races who resented Zorelian rule. The Nelvari, insectoid beings from a heavy gravity world, provided crucial intelligence about Imperial fleet movements. The Taxeri, a species of brilliant engineers, shared weaknesses in Zorelian ship design they had discovered over centuries of oppression. In underground facilities, soldiers trained to exploit Zorelian vulnerabilities. Their four-eyed vision, while excellent for distance, had a blind spot at close range. Their communication systems were vulnerable to specific interference patterns. Their rigid hierarchy meant lower ranks could not act without orders. "Human unpredictability will be our advantage," Instructor Kelly Davis told her Special Forces trainees. "The Zorelians expect compliance and logical responses. We'll give them chaos instead." Paul Garcia's team made another breakthrough: the Ghost Drive, a propulsion system that masked a ship's energy signature. Small vessels equipped with this technology could slip past Zorelian detection grids. "We can't match their firepower," Paul explained during the demonstration. "But they can't hit what they can't see." The Terran Defense Coalition launched Operation Scattered Thunder. Human strike teams deployed to key points throughout the solar system in ships too small to trigger Zorelian sensors. They placed mines, sensor buoys, and automated defense platforms in strategic locations. "We're creating a web," Sophia told the War Council. "When they enter our system, we'll know exactly where they are, but they won't know where we are." On Earth, civilians prepared too. Underground shelters expanded. Food and medical supplies stockpiled. Children practiced evacuation drills disguised as games. President Rivera addressed the world. "For the first time in our history, all of humanity stands as one. We face an enemy that believes us weak because we are young among the stars. But what we lack in age, we make up for in determination." The captured Zorelian, now held in a secure facility, watched human preparations with growing concern. It had expected panic and disarray. Instead, it saw coordination and resolve. "Your species is unusual," it told its interrogators. "The Empire has conquered many worlds, but none have prepared as you do." "That's because none of them were human," replied the intelligence officer. 14 days after the ultimatum, long-range sensors detected the Zorelian fleet entering the outer solar system. Over 200 warships, led by a massive dreadnought 10 times the size of Earth's largest vessel. Sophia sent the alert to all human forces. "Operation Scattered Thunder is active. Maintain communication silence. Strike only as planned." As Zorelian ships passed Neptune's orbit, they broadcasted their message: "Resistance is futile. Submit or be destroyed." Earth's response was not transmitted but painted on the side of every human vessel, a single word that would soon strike fear throughout the galaxy: "Run." Admiral Daniel Harris watched from the command center as the Zorelian fleet approached Neptune. The massive alien ships moved in perfect formation, their golden hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. 200 warships against Earth's 63 vessels. The odds seemed impossible. But impossible odds were humanity's specialty. They're following standard Imperial conquest protocol, Lieutenant Kim said, studying the tactical display. Just as our intelligence predicted. Daniel nodded. Then they're right where we want them. He opened the secure channel to all Earth vessels. Initiate Operation Scattered Thunder. Ghost protocol active. Remember your training and stay unpredictable. Earth's ships, hidden in Neptune's rings and scattered among its moons, powered up their engines. The newly installed ghost drives masked their energy signatures as they moved into position. The Zorelian ships continued forward, unaware of the trap they were entering. Enemy fleet maintaining course, Kim reported. No indication they've detected our forces. Daniel checked the countdown timer. Launch disruptors in 3, 2, 1. Throughout Neptune's orbit, hundreds of small devices activated simultaneously. Each emitted an electromagnetic pulse modulated to the exact frequency it would interfere with Zorelian sensors and communications. On the Zorelian command ship, Grand Marshal Kaz, Thrax watched his tactical displays flicker and go dark. "What is happening?" he demanded. His technical officer frantically worked the controls. "Unknown interference, Grand Marshal. We've lost contact with the forward fleet." "Impossible." Kaz. Thrax slammed his fist down. "These primitives cannot possess such technology." But the humans did, and they were already moving to Phase 2. The smaller Earth vessels struck first, emerging from hiding to fire on the Zorelian ships from multiple angles. Their weapons, hastily adapted using captured alien technology, pierced the enemy shields. The ghost drives let them appear, strike, and vanish before the Zorelians could target them. "We're registering hits on 27 enemy vessels," Kim reported, excitement in her voice. "Their formation is breaking." The Zorelian fleet scattered, trying to find targets that seemed to appear and disappear at random. Their rigid battle doctrine crumbled in the face of human unpredictability. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez led Assault Team Delta aboard her stealth ship. "Prepare for boarding," she told her team. "Target the communication vessel on the fleet's eastern flank." Her ship slipped undetected alongside a Zorelian warship. Using cutting tools based on Zorelian technology, they'd breached the hull and entered. The alien crew was unprepared for close combat. The Zorelians, used to fighting from a position of technological superiority, found themselves facing humans who had trained specifically to exploit their weaknesses. Amy's team fought their way to the bridge, using sonic disruptors that targeted Zorelian nervous systems without affecting humans. "Ship secure," she reported after 20 minutes of intense fighting. "We have control of their systems and 6 prisoners." Across the battlefield, similar scenarios played out. Human forces captured or disabled 17 Zorelian vessels in the first hour of combat. Daniel ordered the next phase. Every communication device, every captured ship, every Earth vessel broadcasted the same message on all Zorelian frequencies. "Run." The single word, repeated endlessly, echoed through the Zorelian fleet. Combined with the unexpected resistance and the ghost ships that struck without warning, it had a profound psychological effect. 3 Zorelian destroyers are retreating, Kim announced. 5 more have powered down weapon systems. On the Zorelian command ship, Kaz Thrax raged at his officers. "No species has ever repelled an Imperial fleet. Find these humans and destroy them." But the Battle of Neptune had already become a victory for Earth. By the time the Zorelian forces regrouped, they had lost 42 ships. The humans, with their hit-and-run tactics, had lost only 7. As the remaining Zorelian ships withdrew to regroup, Daniel sent a message to Earth. "First engagement successful. The enemy is confused and divided. They underestimated us. They won't make that mistake again." Grand Marshal Kaz, Thrax stood before the Imperial Council, his blue skin darkened with shame. The holographic displays showed the devastating defeat at Neptune. "These humans are not like other species," he admitted. "They fight without honor, striking from shadows and retreating before we can respond." The Supreme Overseer's 4 eyes narrowed. "You lost 42 ships to primitives. Unacceptable." "We need more forces," Kazthrax argued. "The humans use tactics we have never encountered." The council voted immediately. 300 additional warships would join the campaign. The Zorelian Empire would not be defied by upstart primates. Meanwhile, Earth expanded its resistance. Human colonies on Mars and the moons of Jupiter became forward bases. Ships equipped with ghost drives carried supplies and personnel beyond the solar system, establishing hidden outposts in nearby star systems. Dr. Susan Wright led the biological countermeasures team at the Geneva Research Facility. She studied the Zorelian prisoners with determined focus. "Their biology is their weakness," she told her team. "They evolved on a world with different atmospheric composition. They rely on specialized breathing apparatuses to function in most environments." Susan developed a compound that could temporarily disable these breathing systems without causing permanent harm. It wasn't a weapon of mass destruction, but a tool to incapacitate rather than kill. "We don't need to match their cruelty," she explained when presenting her findings. "We just need to stop them." On the far side of the Zorelian advance, Captain Ryan Mitchell and his stealth team approached the Zorelian homeworld. Their mission: intelligence gathering at the heart of the Empire. "Stay in ghost mode," Ryan reminded his crew as they slipped past orbital defenses. "We're here to observe, not engage." What they discovered shocked them. The Zorelian homeworld was a rigid hierarchy in physical form. Massive towers housed the elite, while lower castes lived in sprawling complexes below. The entire society was as regimented as their military. "They've never had to adapt," Ryan reported back to Earth. "Their dominance has been unquestioned for so long they've lost the ability to change." This intelligence proved invaluable. Earth forces began targeting Zorelian command structures, knowing the lower ranks couldn't function without direct orders. As battles spread across the solar system, Earth forces liberated alien slave worlds in nearby systems. Many of these species, impressed by human resilience, joined the fight. The Dralax, with their natural ability to manipulate gravitational fields, proved especially helpful. The Moreji, whose technology specialized in camouflage, enhanced the ghost drive systems. "We form an alliance of the willing," the Dralax ambassador told Earth's leaders. "For centuries we believed resistance was futile. You have shown us otherwise." The psychological campaign intensified. The single word "run" appeared on Zorelian communication systems across dozens of worlds. Stories spread of ghost ships that struck without warning and disappeared. On the Zorelian colony of Viridian II, an entire garrison vanished overnight. Surveillance footage showed only blurred images and the word "run" painted on walls. It was actually Lieutenant Kim's special operations team, using portable ghost field generators to move undetected through the base. They disabled the garrison without a single casualty and evacuated the subjugated local population. The Zorelian Empire had never faced an enemy like humanity. Adaptive, unpredictable, and unwilling to fight according to established rules. Kazthrax became obsessed with defeating the humans. He deployed his reserves, ordering attacks on civilian targets to break Earth's will. But each atrocity only strengthened human resolve. When Zorelian forces bombarded a research outpost on Europa, killing 200 scientists, Earth's response was swift and devastating. Ghost fleet ships appeared in 6 Zorelian systems simultaneously, targeting military installations with surgical precision. Before the Empire could respond, the ships vanished, leaving behind their calling card: "Run." The message was spreading through the Empire. For the first time in their long history of conquest, Zorelian soldiers began to fear their enemy. The battle for Proxima Centauri began at dawn. The Zorelian Armada, 500 warships strong, emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. It was the largest fleet ever assembled for a single conquest, a testament to how seriously the Empire now took the human threat. Admiral Harris watched from the bridge of the Defender as the enemy ships filled the tactical display. Earth had only 90 vessels in the Proxima system, seemingly outmatched and outgunned. All ships maintained position. Harris ordered calmly, "Let them come to us." The Zorelians advanced cautiously, having learned from previous encounters that humans rarely did the expected. Grand Marshal Kaz Thrax personally led this campaign, determined to crush the resistance once and for all. "The humans hide a small fleet in this system," Kaz Thrax announced to his commanders. "Today we will end their defiance. No more ghost tactics. No more hit and run. Today they face the full might of the Empire." What Kaz Thrax didn't know was that Proxima Centauri had been chosen as a battleground for a specific reason. For months, Earth engineers had been working in the system, preparing a trap of unprecedented scale. As the Zorelian fleet crossed the designated threshold, Admiral Harris gave the command, "Activate the Proxima web." Throughout the system, hidden generators powered up, creating an energy field that disrupted Zorelian faster-than-light drives. At the same time, the asteroid belt suddenly came alive with hundreds of automated defense platforms, their signatures masked until this moment. Multiple weapon signatures detected. A Zorelian officer shouted, "They were waiting for us." The human fleet, now reinforced by ships emerging from hiding, attacked from all directions. They no longer relied solely on ghost tactics. This time, they revealed Earth's true technological advances, weapons and shields reverse-engineered from captured Zorelian technology, but modified in ways the Empire had never imagined. "The adaptive shields are holding," Lieutenant Kim reported on the Defender. "Enemy fire effectiveness down 60%. Harris nodded. "Launch the boarding teams." Major Nicole Wilson led the assault force toward the Zorelian command ship. Her troops were equipped with the latest countermeasures, armor that blocked Zorelian sensors, weapons calibrated to penetrate their shields, and tactical systems that exploited the blind spots in their four-eyed vision. "Remember your training," she told her team as their ships approached the massive Zorelian dreadnought. "They expect us to attack head-on. We won't." Instead of targeting the main hangar or bridges, Wilson's forces breached the hull at maintenance access points identified by intel from liberated slave species. They entered the massive ship through its least defended areas. The Zorelian crew, trained to repel frontal assaults, found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Human soldiers moved through the ship in small, autonomous teams, each with specific objectives. Wilson herself led the team targeting the command center. 5 minutes to target, she reported as they moved through the ship's sprawling corridors. Minimal resistance encountered. On the bridge of his flagship, Kaz Thrax received increasingly desperate reports. His fleet was trapped and taking heavy losses. The humans had somehow matched Zorelian technology, while adding innovations the Empire had never considered. "Impossible," he muttered. "No species advances this quickly." The doors to his bridge exploded inward. Wilson's team stormed through the smoke, their weapons disabling the Zorelian officers before they could react. Kaz Thrax reached for his sidearm, but froze when he found Wilson's weapon aimed at his head. "The Empire does not surrender," he declared defiantly. Wilson smiled behind her visor. "We're not asking you to surrender. We're telling you to run." Throughout the Proxima system, the battle turned decisively in Earth's favor. The Zorelian fleet, cut off from reinforcements, and with their command structure captured, began to fragment. Some ships continued fighting. Others attempted to retreat. Some actually surrendered, an unprecedented event in Imperial history. By nightfall, the greatest military force the Zorelian Empire had ever assembled had been defeated. News of the disaster spread quickly throughout Imperial space, carried by fleeing ships and transmitted by newly liberated worlds. Across dozens of star systems, Zorelian troops began to desert rather than face human forces. The warning that had started as a psychological tactic had become reality. When humans came, the only rational response was to run. The Zorelian Empire crumbled faster than anyone expected. After the decisive battle at Proxima Centauri, rebellions erupted across 57 worlds. Species that had lived under imperial rule for centuries found courage in humanity's example. 6 months after Khazthrax's capture, representatives from 23 formerly subjugated species gathered on Earth. They met in the Great Hall of Unity, built specifically for this historic occasion. President Rivera addressed the assembly. For too long, the galaxy lived under the shadow of oppression. Today, we begin a new chapter, not of conquest, but of cooperation. Captain Lisa Bennett, now Ambassador Bennett, had been chosen to represent Earth in the new galactic community. She had come a long way from the military officer who first responded to the alien transmission. Humans don't seek an empire, she told the gathered delegates. We propose instead the galactic cooperative of free worlds, where all species have equal voice and equal protection. The proposal passed unanimously. The cooperative's first act was to establish peacekeeping forces to protect newly liberated worlds from remnants of Zorelian military units that refused to accept defeat. Dr. Alan White led the effort to create a universal translation system. His work with alien linguistics during First Contact had prepared him for the challenge of helping dozens of species communicate effectively. Language shapes understanding, he explained during the system's unveiling. When we can truly speak to one another, we begin to see our common goals rather than our differences. On distant worlds formerly under Zorelian control, humans became a welcome sight. Human adaptability and innovation helped rebuild infrastructures designed for conquest into networks supporting cooperation. The story of how humanity defeated the supposedly invincible Zorelian Empire spread throughout the galaxy. It took on mythic qualities. Tales of ghost ships that appeared from nowhere, of soldiers who could see in the dark, of weapons that bypassed any shield. The reality was both simpler and more profound. Humans had simply refused to accept defeat as an option. We've always been good at beating the odds, Ambassador Bennett told a group of alien children during a cultural exchange. Throughout our history, we've faced challenges that seemed impossible. We learned to adapt, to find unexpected solutions. The former Zorelian homeworld, now called New Zorella, requested Earth's help in establishing a democratic government. The rigid hierarchy that had defined our society for millennia gave way to something more flexible and inclusive. We were stagnant, admitted the new Zorelian representative. Our conquest of other worlds was an attempt to acquire through force what we could no longer achieve through innovation. Humans showed us a better path. The last Imperial stronghold fell after a brief standoff. The final Zorelian commander surrendered not to superior firepower, but to the realization that the Empire's time had passed. As human influence spread peacefully throughout the galaxy, researchers on a distant world made a remarkable discovery. In the archives of an ancient civilization that predated even the Zorelian Empire, they found a prophecy translated from stone tablets. When the stars grow dark under conquering wings, hope will come from the third world of a yellow star. The children of this world, born of struggle and adaptation, will break the chains that bind the galaxy. Their warning will become legend, their resistance will become salvation. When shown the prophecy, Ambassador Bennett smiled. I don't believe in destiny, but I do believe in humanity's unique gift for defying expectations. 1 year after the war's end, Earth hosted the first Galactic Cultural Festival. Species from across known space gathered to share art, music, science, and stories. The event symbolized the new era, diverse civilizations enriching one another rather than conquering or being conquered. Grand Marshal Khazthrax, now retired and living under supervision on Earth, attended the festival as an observer. He watched humans interacting freely with beings his people had once enslaved. I still don't understand how you defeated us, he told Ambassador Bennett when their paths crossed. She considered the question seriously. Perhaps because we never saw ourselves as conquerors or victims. We simply saw a challenge and refused to accept failure as an outcome. As the festival continued around them, the stars shone down on a galaxy transformed, not by the might of an empire, but by the determination of a species that had never learned when to quit. 5 years after the formation of the Galactic Cooperative, a new challenge emerged from the darkness beyond known space. Strange energy readings appeared at the edge of cooperative territory. Ships investigating the phenomenon failed to return. Admiral Daniel Harris, now commander of the Cooperative Defense Fleet, studied the reports with growing concern. The pattern was familiar, uncomfortably so. "It reminds me of Zorelian scout tactics," he told the emergency council meeting. "But these energy signatures don't match anything in our database." Ambassador Bennett frowned. "Could it be Imperial remnants with new technology?" "Unlikely," replied Dr. Alan White, studying the sensor data. "These readings suggest a completely different technological approach, something we haven't encountered before." The council voted to send a heavily armed research expedition to investigate. The mission would be led by the Defender, Earth's flagship, now commanded by Captain Olivia Ross, the scientist who had first analyzed Zorelian technology during the war. "We're detecting a massive structure," Olivia reported after the expedition reached the anomaly zone. "It appears to be some sort of gateway, artificial in nature." Before they could investigate further, the gateway activated. A swirling vortex of energy formed at its center, and ships began to emerge. Vessels unlike any seen before. Black and crystalline, they moved with fluid grace that defied known physics. The lead ship transmitted a message in multiple languages. "We are the Void Collective. Your expansion has been noted. Your territories will be assessed for compatibility." The phrasing sent a chill through everyone who heard it. It echoed the Zorelian approach, the clinical evaluation before conquest. "Maintain position," Olivia ordered, "but ready defenses." More ships continued to emerge from the gateway, hundreds of them, forming a fleet that dwarfed even the largest Zorelian armada. Lieutenant Jack Powell, now Olivia's executive officer, watched the tactical display with growing alarm. "They're deploying in attack formation." The Void Collective struck without further communication. Their weapons were energy-based, but unlike anything humans or their allies had encountered, beams that seemed to distort space itself around their targets. The Defender took heavy damage in the first exchange. 3 escort vessels were destroyed outright. "Full retreat," Olivia ordered. "We need to warn the Cooperative." The expedition fled, pursued by void ships. Only the Defender and 2 smaller vessels made it back to cooperative space. The gateway continued to disgorge enemy ships. An emergency summit was called on Earth. Representatives from all member species gathered to address this new threat. "The Void Collective appears to be a multi-species entity," Dr. White explained. "Their technology suggests they've been traveling between galaxies, perhaps for millions of years." Former Grand Marshal Kaz Thrax, now a reluctant advisor to the Cooperative, spoke next. "Zorelian deep space explorers encountered similar entities a millennium ago. The records were sealed by Imperial command and eventually forgotten." "Why hide this information?" Ambassador Bennett asked. Kaz Thrax's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "Because the encounter ended with the complete destruction of our exploration fleet. The Empire decided some threats were best left undisturbed." The summit reached a unanimous decision. The Galactic Cooperative would stand together against this new threat. Species that had been enemies just years earlier now prepared for a common defense. Humanity once again found itself at the center of the crisis. The adaptive strategies and innovative thinking that had defeated the Zorelians would be needed against an enemy that made the Empire seem primitive by comparison. As defense fleets mobilized throughout cooperative space, Admiral Harris addressed the combined forces. 5 years ago, we faced an enemy that thought itself invincible. We proved them wrong through unity and determination. Today we face a greater challenge, but we face it together, not as humans or Zorelians or Drulax, but as free people defending our common future. The first reports of Void Collective ships entering cooperative territory came 3 days later. The next great conflict had begun. This time, however, humanity would not stand alone.